Well, cowboys, are you ready for a trip to New Austin? Now you can do it at the very beginning of Chapter 2 and get all the rare items while playing as Arthur. So let's get started. To get to New Austin, we'll use the Carcass Glitch. I won't go into details here, since there is a full video on the channel explaining how to perform the glitch. I leave a link in the description. Now let's quickly do the glitch. Find an animal that Arthur can carry on his shoulder. Shoot it with a poison arrow. Once the animal drops, approach it and aim. While holding the aim button, drink 6 full bottles of alcohol. After drinking the last bottle, wait exactly 5 seconds and press square to kill the animal. As soon as you see the pickup prompt, press and hold square again. If you did everything correctly, Arthur will appear with a Carcass as armor. It's better to travel during the day. You can sleep until morning. That's what I'll do. And now let's head into the restricted area. I suggest drinking tonics, just in case. Your task is to quickly ride to Thieves Landing. Don't stop, don't shoot back, just ride as fast as you can. That's it. Now your only threat is sniper and the occasional lawman patrolling the road. I suggest avoiding them early. Keep the camera behind you and carefully ride to your destination. Right now I'm heading for Otis Revolver. I'll speed this part up a bit so the video isn't too long. To safely get off the horse, hold a rifle in your hands, aim and dismount while aiming. Here's the cave. Keep an eye on the camera and carefully head inside. Now attention! Before you do anything, always check the bottom right corner. You may need to switch the action. Sometimes put or skin actions may be active. Open the chest and carefully grab everything you need.
Hey cowboys, you want to know more about Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Online? Subscribe to this channel, and believe me, Thanatos knows a lot of interesting things in this game.
We got the revolver. Let's moving on. Time to get the Tiger Striped Mustang. The key here is always keeping the camera behind you. Catch the horse. Mount it. Calm it. And feed it until it reaches bonding level 1. Good. Now let's go catch the legendary fish. Cast your rod and wait. As soon as you catch the fish, switch to first-person view. The camera will move and the sniper can kill you. Time to hunt the legendary animal. Everything will be fine until you press the skin button. When Arthur picks up the pelt, he'll lose the armor and die. But the mission will still be 100 complete in the journal. You can also inspect bones and write various entries in the journal. If the inspect action doesn't appear, just aim. When the action shows up, press it immediately while holding the aim button. And finally, herbs. You can collect them too, along with talismans, new gangs, gold bars farming and much more. But be careful when you're turning. Drinking tonics. Catching horses. In a short video, it all looks simple and fast. you'll get it too, after dying 10 to 15 times. And yeah, I don't recommend going to sleep in New Austin. If you want a full video focused on a specific item, let me know in the comments. And remember, don't push the horses.